Welcome back once again. All of you are most welcome in next class of history, and today we are going to discuss chapter number 5, the Muslim League. Before starting the topic, I would like to say that you have to complete the question answers of chapter number 4 and 1 to 4 chapter you have completed in your copy. I hope so. If you have not completed, then complete it as soon as possible. Uh, Students, chapter number 1 and 6 also you have to complete. Same copy you can make, and backside you can complete civics work, and first you can complete history work. So we are going to discuss today chapter number 5. So I hope all of you are fine, and once again I would like to say that stay home, stay safe. So students, let's start the topic today. First we'll go through the syllabus. Before going the syllabus, you are watching the two pictures on your screen. That is, you can identify. First one is of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who played very important role to prepare the platform for Muslim League. And second one is Lord Minto, who was also responsible for that inculcating or flourishing of Muslim League as a strong party by Minto model reforms, you know well. So we'll discuss this thing afterwards. First we are going through the syllabus. So the syllabus of this chapter is very small one or little one. So we have not to discuss more topics. So factors leading the formation of Muslim League and its objectives. So factors plus objectives. And one more thing is there, formation, only that when it was formed and who formed this Muslim League. Only these two questions are asked, and objectives comes in 2 marks question only. What are the objectives of Muslim League? This is 2 mark question simply, and little bit 2 marks question they are asking from significance of Lucknow Pact. So these 3 topics are there from this chapter, but we are having some more extra topics in the chapter, but we will discuss for board exam point of view only these 3 topics. I am going to remind factors leading to the formation of Muslim League, its objectives, and third one, significance of Lucknow Pact. Only these 3 topics are there for exam point of view, nothing more than that. So let's start today's topic. Today we are going to discuss the factors leading the formation of the Muslim League. So this topic is very important one, that what were the circumstances or what were the factors which gave the birth to Muslim League in Indian society. So first topic we are going to discuss the loss of sovereignty of Mughal rulers. So students, we all know that in 1857 there was a first war of independence, and whenever this war was held, most of that states were under control of Mughals, and Mughals think so, or we can say that Muslims think so, that Britishers are our most prominent enemy, and they could not be they were not able to come with the Britishers, and that's why they keep the distance from the Britishers. And on the other hand, Britishers were thinking so that these Mughals are responsible for that revolt of 1857. So they also kept distance from Muslims, and this was continued till 1870. And whenever they think so that Hindus are going to be prominent, and that Hindu-Muslim unity is there in the society, so they decided that something should be there by which we can break that Indian society. So they played that game of this division or divide and rule. So they sowed that seeds of dissension between the two communities, Hindus and Muslims, and they encouraged that communal tendencies between Hindus and Muslims. So after 1870, they supported Muslims because they were knowing that if this thing will continue, if this revolt will continue, or opposition of this British government will continue, then very soon that government will end from India. So that's why they started to work on other aspects. So now we are going to discuss second topic, which I was discussing now, British policy of divide and rule. So how they divide Indians, or how they divide in Muslims and Hindus. So after first war of independence, they saw that unity between Hindus and Muslim is a threat for Britishers, and that's why they encouraged that Muslims should be separated from Hindus. So what they did, first point is given in your book. Lord Mayo's government adopted that resolution which made Urdu the medium of instruction in 1871 for Muslims in primary and secondary schools. And by this step, they got that support of Muslims in India. Or most of that Muslims were thinking so that Britishers are well and good for Muslims. So second point, that they created hatred among the Hindus and Muslims, as well as Hindus were shown as they were that person who were plundered by the Muslim rulers, or Muslim rulers they showed as the plunderers and cruel king of Muslims, just like Aurangzeb. They focus on that one, and by this they created that hatred between Hindus and Muslims. So next point we are going to discuss, third point. They tried to justify that partition of Bengal, and they tried to convince that Muslims that we have given Muslim majority area or Muslim majority state, or we are caring for you. That's why Hindus would not be able to subvert their interest. Means you can use your own interest in your own state, which we have given to you as Bengal. So Bengal was divided, East Bengal and West Bengal. So they said clearly that we have keep in mind the interest of Muslims. That's why we have created new state. So now we are going to discuss the point number 4, that they try to utilize that caste structure to turn non-Brahmins and lower caste against the high caste. Not only Hindus, Muslims, they divide and rule between that Hindu community also. They said that these lower caste are untouchables and Brahmins are superior one. So they create hatred among those caste also, and they became enemy of each other. They have not stopped here. They also treated Hindus, Muslims and Sikh as separate communities, and accepted that communal leaders of authentic representation of all their co-religionists. Means they have given that space to the Sikhs separately, Muslims separately, and Hindus separately, and other communities separately. Means they divide that all the sections of the society in different categories, and they give the separate representation to them. So now we are going to discuss the last point number 6, that communal hatred through the press, posters, literature and public platforms. So in Hindu majority areas, they use that pamphlets and posters against the Muslims, and in Muslim majority areas they use that posters and pamphlets against Hindus. So by this method, they were able to create that illusion between Hindus and Muslims. So that was another cause for formation of Muslim League. So the next we are going to discuss about role of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So if we are going to discuss about role of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, then it was said that Syed Ahmad Khan believed that since the Hindus form the majority of Indian population, and they would be dominate that Muslims in case of withdrawal of British rule. So why it was so? We have to go through this one. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was a social reformer, and his statement was there that Hindus and Muslims are the two eyes of Bharat Mata. But afterwards, whenever he came in the contact of Theodore Beck, who was the first principal of Mayo College, his ideology was changed. He was brainwashed by Theodore Beck, and it was said that continuance of British rule was a guarantee of welfare of Muslims. Otherwise, what will happen? Otherwise, Muslims will not be safe here in India if Britishers will not be there. So next we are going to discuss that when Indian National Congress was founded, then Sayyid Ahmad Khan opposed it, and he was saying so that Congress is Hindu majority party, and Muslims should also have one organization, and he founded the United Indian Patriotic Association in 1888, and the only motive was there to oppose Congress, and it was formed with the support of Theodore Beck. As I told you that he was the principal of Mayo College, Mohammedan Anglo Oriental College, and his willing was there to divide and rule, and that's why he brainwashed Sir Syed Ahmad Khan against Congress, and that's why this organization was working, and afterwards Sir Syed Ahmad Khan declared clearly that Britishers are the guarantee for that Muslim safety. If Britishers will not be there in India, then there is no guarantee for Muslim safety in India. So let's move for the next photo. You are watching Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. He played very important role in formation of Muslim League, but it was formed by Nawab Salimullah. He was from Dhaka, but we will discuss this thing afterwards when we will discuss about formation of Muslim League. Now we are going to the next point, and the point is relative backwardness of Muslim community in education, trade and industry. So this heading number 3 is given in a book. So what does it mean? It means that Muslim community was orthodox, and they were strongly strict with their Islamic education. They were not willing to change their pattern of education. They were not willing to go with that British education, because as I have told in chapter number 1 that mullahs or Maulvis, they were having the fear that if they will have the education, then they will not follow to us, or our dignity will be affected by this one. So Muslims were orthodox, and they could not adopt that British education or Western education. So that's why what was the result of this one? They were not getting the government job, they were not able to set up the industries, and they were not able to do the trades, because that most of the things were there in English, and they were not knowing anything about that Western education. So point we can discuss. Point number 2 I am discussing first. That British government in India had consciously discriminated against Muslim after 1858, holding them responsible for uprising of 1857, and they were discriminated in that recruitment to the civil and military services. So it was the opinion of Britishers that Muslims are not in favor of Britishers. So they were kept away from that civil services as well as military services, because they were having the fear of revolt again. So third point I am going to discuss here, that they were not involved in the growth of any organized industry. Why? Because they were lagged behind. As I told you in starting, that they were not having more touch with the Western education. They were orthodox with the Islamic education only. They were not knowing that progress, what is going on in the world. They were sticking only on the Islamic education. So next one, point number 4, that some members of Muslim community did not keep up with the modern trends in social and cultural spheres, and this was because they were proud of their own literature and culture. As I told you this one, that most of that persons were thinking so that our culture is great, and our tradition is great, and our religion is great. We need not to go for any other system of education. Islamic education is the best education for Muslims. So that's why they could not get the government services, and Muslims have the disadvantage. They were not having the knowledge, education, as well as industries they were not able to set up, because for that we need that education. So now I am going to discuss point number 1. That in 19th century anti-British propaganda was there in Muslims. Why? because they were thinking so that modern education will hostile Muslims, and number of Muslims educated in Western system of education remained small. Means very small number of Muslims were there who were going for Western education, and rest of them were going for Islamic Orthodox education. And as I discussed with you, then they were thinking so that our culture is our pride, our religion is our pride. So they were denying to go with Western education. So result of that one, that Muslims were backward in the field of education, trade and industry. So that's why they were lagging behind. That was another reason that whenever that few Muslims were educated, they focus on that one, and they thought that it is the need of time to unite Muslims through one party. So now we are going to discuss point number 5. Okay, point number 6 we are taking first. Rise of assertive nationalism. So as we know that in 1905 Bengal was divided, or partition of Bengal was there, and afterwards anti-partition movement was there, and during the anti-partition movement Vande Mataram was being sung, as well as Amar Sonar Bangla was being sung, and with that holy dip they have taken in river Ganga, and they have tied that Rakhi on the hands, and they have took that tilak on the forehead. And many Orthodox Muslims were having this thing as a objection, and they were not willing to have or willing to join Congress, and that's why they want separate organization, and that's why this Muslim League was being formed by Nawab Salimullah from Dhaka. So Ganpati festival, Ganpati Puja, Shivaji festival, these were religious activities which were being done by assertive nationalists, and which were totally condemned by the Muslims, and that's why they went against that assertive nationalist, and they were willing to have one organization for Muslim. So that's why this Muslim League came in form. So next point we are going to discuss about economic backwardness of country. So one more point number 7 is given in a book, that India was a backward country. Why it was a backward country? Due to British colonial policies. They didn't develop India, they didn't give the infrastructure to India, they didn't set up the industry in India, and that's why unemployment was there. And the educated youth who were knowing the facts about world, they were clearly knowing that Britishers are going to exploit India economically, and there was a fierce competition to secure that few jobs. So number of educated persons were more, and jobs were less. So that's why Britishers used that opportunity to push further the policy of divide and rule, and then they used a communal rivalry between Hindus and Muslims, and Indians were having that question mark with the jobs, and that's why that unemployed people failed to realize that British themselves were responsible for economic backwardness, and that's why we need one unity or organization, and space. Most of them were there Muslims who were unemployed because of education, and that was the time to make one organization for welfare. So one more point is missing in your book that I am going to discuss. Point number 5, enormous interpretations of history. So that point I am going to discuss. In your book there are 4 points. So let me discuss with first one, that whenever that Britishers write the history, they use that Afghans, Turks and Mughals as that Muslim rulers, and they said that they were very brutal and they were cruel, and they have cleared that Hindu period, that rulers were good, and Muslims came to India, they invade India, and they were settled in India, and they tortured Hindus on the name of religion. And they make that portrait of Maharana Pratap, Shivaji as the national heroes, and Aurangzeb as the foreigners, and that's why this communal hatred was there between the Hindus and Muslims. So it was not possible to work Hindus and Muslims together. Another one that historians ignore that notion of composite culture, and they fail to interpret that diversity and unity of India, and that's why that region wise they have not written the history, they have wrote the history religion wise, or they divide that Indians religion wise, not region wise. So next point is there, that many historians highlighted the Indian society and culture had reached the great height during that ancient period. And whenever that medieval period, before this I want to tell that Indian history divided in three parts: ancient history, medieval history, and modern history. So modern history comes after independence, medieval history from 15th century, whenever that Mughal rulers are there, and before that we are counting it ancient history. So many of that communal historians highlighted it, that that was the golden period in that ancient India, and during that medieval period, or during that Mughal period, that they didn't contribute for that development for religion, art, literature, culture, and society. So that's why there was some hatred between Hindus and Muslims due to this interpretation of history. And next one, that communal biases was propagated through the dramas, novels, stories, and newspapers, so that Hindus and Muslims were against each other. And I would like to end with the today's class with a statement of Mahatma Gandhi, who said that communal harmony could not be permanently established in our country so long as highly distorted versions of history were taught in her school. So means till when India will have that distorted versions of history, that harmony cannot be created in India. So that was that main reasons for or main factors for establishment of Muslim League in India. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Tomorrow we'll discuss about the events which lead to the formation of Muslim League, and then we'll go for another topic, Lucknow Pact. So till then, stay home, stay safe. Have a nice day.